Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Hello, I'm Stephen Willis, the host of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, and this is an extra podcast for you with Tom Vanderford. And we're going to talk about fall camp. We're going to talk about recruiting. Heck, we might talk a little bit about Centarian Perkins. How we doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great. I just want to start out by mentioning a guy that I didn't get his name today, but I was in Kroger grocery shopping before I got home, before the podcast, and he stopped me and he said, "I recognize you from the podcast." He said, "I watch it every morning before I go to work." So you know who you are. I'm sorry I didn't get your name, but thank you very much for watching.
Yes, thank you very much for watching. And I do. It really makes me just fills me with pride to know that we are the Ole Miss morning show, and we're how so many Ole Miss fans start their day, and that's just a really cool thing. Because like when we started this, I was like, hey, Ole Miss needs to have an avenue to have fun, needs to have an avenue that's lighthearted. All the other ones basically cover it the same exact way. We should have a little bit of fun, and I should play to my strengths being inside the Manning Center and having worked in the recruiting media all those years. And then we built something like this, and we got a whole bunch of perspectives. And thank you very much for watching. And of course, tell a friend, buddy. Mention in the comments if you see this, let us know who you are. I'd love to call you out by name, but I do appreciate it.
Yeah, it was really nice, but it's good that it's grown so much. Mm-hmm. It's kind of taken over, really. And I think it's wonderful for people that want Ole Miss perspectives and fan perspectives. And you know, I never have denied that I'm a homer. Mm-hmm. And that's why I love this so much. I get to be the homer that I am.
Yeah, it's in the name. Locked On Ole Miss podcast. It would not be anything other than that ever. I mean, we are going to be Ole Miss centric. We're going to talk about things from the Ole Miss point of view. We don't care if a player is going to Notre Dame, for instance. They just immediately fall off the radar, and we don't care about them. But we're going to try and have fun talking about Ole Miss. And just because that said player goes to Notre Dame, that no player in particular, by the way, I'm just using a hypothetical.
Right.
That doesn't mean that we need to feel somehow less happy about where we are. Yeah. Following sports should be fun. I've always thought the tortured sports fan is like, they can't hurt me anymore, or the why did the Cleveland Browns get requested to be the pallbearer so they could let you down one more time? All of that to me is silly, because following sports is fun, and if you're not doing it, you're not doing it right.
Exactly. Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Life's short.
Yeah. Anyway, it looks like Jackson Dart is the guy. We're not going to get an answer. I mean, we probably won't get an answer until Jackson Dart takes the first snap against Mercer, but everything we have seen during the season, during fall camp, leading up in the summer, every single thing points to Jackson Dart being the quarterback. Now, what is your opinion on what's going on that? And what do you think Ole Miss should be looking at next?
Oh, I completely agree that he's the guy. He's earned it. The video I see from him in camp, he's muscled up. He's playing good, and I think he deserves it. I'm just very thankful that we can take the brakes off and do some things with him this year that we weren't able to do last year due to depth at the quarterback position. So we are super deep there, and that sure does make me feel good. I like what Braylon Brown said this week. You know, he said I forget now what it was, but he said that, you know, basically the offense was unbelievable. He said something better than that, but I can't remember it. He, you know, I saw some video where he made a nice catch, you know, in very good coverage. So,
on a perfect pass. It was perfect all around.
Perfect. It was perfect. Mm-hmm. And I'm really, really looking forward to the offense. I think they're going to grind the points out. And I just, like I said, don't sleep on this defense, folks. This defense is going to be good. It's not going to be top 5 good, but it's going to be good. I think it's very much going to be top 30.
It's going to be Ole Miss good. Let's just say that going in. It's going to be a good Ole Miss defense.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I just can't wait for the first game. I know it's Mercer, but, Mercer was 7-4 last year. They won a few games. They've got a lot of people returning. So it'll be a good early test for all of our new people and see how cohesive they are. Of course,
1,000 degrees.
Yeah. One thing that I read, joke, man. One thing that I read, and I'm sure you've talked about it. I'm not completely caught up, but the fact that Kiffin is telling people the truth. He's like, the days of a football player coming to Ole Miss because he wants to come to Ole Miss, that's not the case anymore. These kids want the NIL deal. They want the playing time. He said it's more like the NFL now than it was. He said it's sad that it is that way, but that's where we're at right now.
I think Lane Kiffin, in a way, I think he's absolutely right, by the way. But even previously, whenever you recruiting kids, there wasn't kids that necessarily were coming to your school because the weight room was nice. I mean, whenever an offer, and I'm going to use that, an offer becomes similar, all of a sudden the school and the feel and the relationships happen. But the most important thing in recruiting right now, by far, and I interviewed Walker Jones Friday for tomorrow morning's day of collection for the Grove Collective. And he says, not even close. It's money. It's NIL. And the way that you can help Ole Miss be competitive is by donating to that NIL. And it's not a dirty word. I just think that fan bases they're so, I don't know if prideful is the right word. They need to think that Joe quarterback is at their school because he is one of them. And that wasn't the case. That hasn't been the case for 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, not unless you get a Manning or a Legacy, a Todd Wade.
Well, even then it doesn't matter because there's only been one Manning kid that played football at Ole Miss.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's nothing against Archie. That's nothing against Eli, even Cooper or anything else. I'm just saying that there is a limit to where you support. Peyton had all kinds of warm and fuzzy feelings about the University of Mississippi. He's the one that ultimately looked up to his dad, and he could basically copy Stan Torgerson when he's going through the pre-snap play. Right. And Peyton Manning is a Tennessee legend, and he's teaching classes at Tennessee right now on digital media. You can't just adopt somebody, for lack of a better word. Peyton Manning, Ole Miss can't just adopt him, even though Archie is the favorite son of the school. It just doesn't work that way because people are inherently selfish. Yeah. And they're going to do what's best for them.
Exactly. And we have it all the time. And, I've finally gotten over that. I would get my feelings hurt, when Eddie Small's kid committed to Tennessee. I got my feelings hurt. And, you just automatically expect these kids to go to Ole Miss because they're legacies. And the kid's going to do what's best for them. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we've got to face the music. It's a business, but it's been a business for quite some years. It's just legal now.
Yeah. Let's look at this. That's a really good example. Eddie Small is a good example. He loves Ole Miss. He does. If you talk to him, he's been on the show. He loves Ole Miss, but his two brothers went to Florida and Georgia.
Right.
He is from Florida, so there's not heartstrings from a childhood. His love stems from those years that he was in Oxford. But him making that decision wasn't because of heartstrings. So anybody in that family and even the kids, all of that stuff is going to be a little bit different. Now, I think Jabari Small would have been at Ole Miss if he'd have gotten the offer from Matt and Luke, but that's another thing altogether. We might not have Quinshon right now if that happened.
Exactly. And everything works out. Everything works. But folks, y'all need to get excited out there, because I know I've been beating the drum, but it's true. We are so deep. We're so well coached. We've got the opportunity for this year to be very, very special. Even with our rough schedule, we've got the opportunity to be extremely special this year. So enjoy, folks. Enjoy.
Do you know what my big worry is? And as an Ole Miss fan, and I'm sure everybody listening to the show is real similar. Everybody plays the exercise in your head of like, what can go wrong? What's the thing that I'm not thinking of that obviously is going to rear its head? And the thing that is starting to make me nervous against Tulane and Mercer is this low contact walk through all of this kinder, gentler camp. It's going to lead to a bunch of cramps and maybe some procedural penalties early on. And I don't know if Mercer or Tulane is good enough to beat Ole Miss, but that is kind of where my concern is living right now.
Oh, I agree. There's anybody that's ever played the game of football knows that it's a different game when you get punched in the mouth. All this thud stuff and all that's wonderful. That keeps your injuries down. That's fine. But when it comes time to play the game, you're going to have to punch people in the mouth, and you're going to get punched in the mouth, and you're going to have to play ball. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be something to watch. Other than that, I think depth at safety and depth on the offensive line are concerns. I don't have any concerns with wide receiver, tight end, running back, quarterback, defensive line, linebacker, none at all. We've got tons of corners. We've got a lot of new faces. I do worry. I won't say I worry. I'm concerned about how well all of these people gel together. We got a lot of new faces, especially on the defensive backfield side of the ball and on defense in all. And I'm hoping that the position coaches and that Pete Golding are doing a wonderful job. I hope. I've heard good things of working to make that unit a cohesive unit.
Yeah, and speaking of the defense, how much are you looking forward to watching Sunterian Perkins play against Mercer?
I can't wait. I can't wait, because he's a grown man. I'm telling you. I know I mentioned this the last podcast, but last year they were saying, hey, this Judkins kid's for real. This year they're saying, hey, this Perkins kid's for real. Mm. We haven't had a 5-star linebacker in a long time, I think since C.J. Johnson, and he ended up at defensive end. He had a good career. But Perkins is, from everything I hear, he is a superstar. So that's going to be interesting to see his development this year as we get through the early schedule and we get into SEC ball.
Yeah, and there is a system that they're doing right now in recruiting through the transfer portal and through high school recruiting at the moment, and they're concentrating defensive players on the high school players. And then they're getting skill players on offense from the transfer portal. We're not going to talk about Kamarion Franklin because we recorded this on Friday. As we're recording this, he still hasn't announced. So we don't know what's going to happen there. So we're going to talk about Trevor Jackson, who we're kind of on commit watch. We got a crystal ball from Steve Wiltfong, which usually means it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you have Nareel White, who Wiltfong also believes is going to end up at Ole Miss. Now, August, depending on what happens, but like I said, by the time everybody watches this, they'll know what's going to happen, but we are recording it before the announcement. Depending on that one means that this August could completely turn around the recruiting for Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels. And all of a sudden you're sitting right there in that little sweet spot of 17, 18, 19 in the country with a transfer portal class that you know is going to be in the top 5, and this roster is going to get even better.
I really think that they know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Years they have a plan. I've said for many years I'm glad that Lane Kiffin, with the environment now, with NIL and the environment in college football, I'm glad we've got a coach that has NFL head coaching experience. I'm glad he's got a dad that he can ask questions of that has tons of NFL coaching experience. And they are doing the best they can. Do I think Lane got distracted with Auburn last year towards the end? I do. Did it affect the team? I know it did. I know for a fact it did with the people that I know, mm-hmm. And all of that hopefully is put to rest, and everybody's ready to do good things. And we plug so many holes, Stephen, and so much depth, and I'm just ready to see it happen.
Yeah, I'm ready for the balls to play. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to see some pressure on some quarterbacks. I'm ready to see some picks because of that pressure. I'm ready to see Sunterian Perkins blitz, rush the edge, whatever he's got to do. And all the rest of the kids up there in the linebacking core, I'm pumped.
Mm-hmm. Should be really good. And everybody, thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Tommy, thank you so much. Can't wait till next week till we can do it again.
Yes, sir. Me too. Hotty toddy, everybody.
Hotty toddy.